This one kind of spoke to me in quite a literal sense. Being someone who's worked for minimum wage jobs, I kind of got this sense of um, being overworked. I don't know if slave labor is the proper term, but um, being forced to work through pain for nothing, sacrificing others, being mechanic with the movements, like not really realizing or nailing other people to things or just nailing shoes, just doing the motions because that's what we're taught to do, no matter how much pain you're in, to the point where the basic necessities of life are unachievable or you become animalistic for them because you don't have access to them. Um, and even them when they were tired doing the choreography, lifting each other up, it's like, tired leading the tired. It's really hard. So for me, I saw a lot of maybe capitalistic tendencies regarding the workforce and overuse of labor.
I thought right from the beginning you could really see how the dancers are being dragged down and the gravity is just so heavy for them they can't even move freely. And the actions in the dance also convey this with the nailing of the shoes to the wall and the nailing of the dancer to the box. They're confined to this space, unable to move, their freedom is restricted. And I thought this was reminiscent of how it is to be working class and how reliance on the next paycheck and money insecurity can really restrict your freedom and just feel like you're working for nothing and you're working just to survive to the next day. You have no freedom in that. And I thought that this dance really represented that well, especially at the end. You can see the food insecurity very clearly with the pasta and the struggling over pasta. Um, I also thought the use of sound effects was really cool. So we have the dripping water in the beginning, and we have the ticking clock at the end. I thought the ticking clock also is a callback to poverty with, you know, time clocks clocking in, time passing you by, and not being able to do anything about that. And then I also thought that the dripping water reminded me of housing insecurity.
There was something quietly evocative about all of it, which I really appreciated. The unconventional presentation made it a little difficult to decipher what I was supposed to be interpreting on a more narrative or thematic level, but through the presentation, I was able to know that something was there, and that's something that I really appreciated. Uh, this is a very physical piece. The music is very minimalist when it's even there at all, and I think that keeps your attention on the visuals, on the performers, especially in these more prolonged dance scenes, the opening one of which isn't even set to music. The setting is very simple, the setting is well used.
And opens with you hearing dripping water and watching characters that sort of appear to be cold is an interesting open. And they both appear to be cold and to be going through a drug withdrawal. It's a very similar dynamic, but I felt like as it progressed, it seemed more like they were just being born. It made me think of like how when young animals are born, or like deer, four-legged animals, when they get out the womb, they have a lot of trouble walking and their legs are always shaking and they require a lot of help. That's what it made me think about. That's what I thought about when I saw this, as well as the opening, him getting his hands hammered in, made me think of obvious sort of religious overtones, Christian overtones with Jesus. So it gave me a very Adam and Eve sort of a feel. So I felt like there was sort of an idea about the beginning of life or the start of humanity and humans sort of still being animalistic. And I thought the progression of them trying to build a world and ultimately ending with one character eating very well and another character dying from eating very well was an interesting dynamic that made me feel like this was a very sort of avant-garde piece that's there's room to interpret it, but I feel like ultimately it's about the core of humanity and what it means to be human.
He's photographed very well. I got a very stark location, great use of that. Everything's very sort of muted and monochromatic, and it's reflected in the costuming of the performers as well. And yeah, it's very industrial and kind of gothy in a way. it is frightening because we're seeing these people, struggle the way they do, and they kind of just end in this sort of excess of, they're eating these noodles where you think, perhaps they're going to get sustenance and be okay, but they're not. I mean, she's like force feeding him. He's dying. There's just so much going on here. And it's called Inferno. So you're like, man, this is a vision of hell. I don't know. But yeah, we're definitely seeing them struggle and trying to build and deconstruct and escape. And it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. The performers, wow, the two performers, what a difficult piece to take on. It's very out of the ordinary and very unusual and very, physically demanding in a way that's, unpleasant for the performers to have to go through. They're basically kind of in the beginning enacting a sort of crucifixion, and then they're trapped in this frame together, and then they're force feeding each other. This is difficult stuff, man. The performers did a great job, and it was also very well choreographed and conceived.
I thought where they filmed it was really interesting. I loved the kind of abandoned feel of it. And then you have these kind of props that they were using, which I thought was done really, really well. I liked how they moved with them and used them and interacted with them, especially with the metal square and them moving in it together. I thought all of that movement was really, really interesting to kind of watch and see how it blended together. I love that they had some things that typically we don't really see anymore, not in this way at least, with like using like the mimery at some points and how kind of disjointed some of their movement was and how kind of erratic it was. I thought it just kept me really, really interested, and it kept me wanting to watch it to see kind of where it would evolve to next and where it would go to next. Um, and then it just kind of moved throughout this like day or night into this night. I loved the lighting that they used because it did kind of show like a passage of time.
And bizarre in the best way. I was just leaning in the whole time, kind of just trying to make sense of things, of the movement, of what was going on, and it was just really oddly satisfying in a way.
Like a horror, they had a horror movie type vibe to it. These two, a woman and a man, going through these episodes in a abandoned house, and then you find out that they're going across, like, trying to figure things out, and the ending scene was very scary, like what you see in a horror film. But yeah, the choreography was done very well in terms of dancing, and it added on to that creepy vibe along with the music to give it like a scary vibe to it.